Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. This is a big wine place, right, guys?
Steve.
And I'm sure a lot of other... Oh, Burgundy also... Hi, guys. Hope everyone's doing well. Burgundy also has a large historical significance after the collapse of the Western Roman Empire. Or, sorry. The transition from Western Roman Europe to more modern-day Europe with... You had the Franks, and I believe Burgundy was a big part of that. Maybe we'll learn something about it. A lot of the time, Rick Steve's Europe videos, great channel, by the way, love it, have some history twisted in with the travel stuff. So, let's go. My name's Connor, if you're new, guys. Original link, top of the description. Let's learn about France. Burgundy.
Back with more.
Together.
Hi, I'm Rick Steves, back with more of the best of Europe. This time, we're enjoying the edible, drinkable, scenic, and floatable delights of one of my favorite corners of France, Burgundy. Thanks for joining us.
Let's go.
Burgundy is calm, cultivated, serene, where nature is as sophisticated as the people. The traditions are strong here. If you're looking for the quintessential French culture, you'll find it in Burgundy.
In this show, we'll appreciate superb Burgundy wine, visit a medieval hospice, build a barrel, slurp escargot.
Is that true? Would you consider Burgundy the most French part of France? If someone asked me what the most American part of America is, what would I say? I mean, I feel like everyone thinks of Texas. Cowboys. I'm biased, so I might say New England. Anyways.
Ponder medieval monasticism.
I'd love to
then draw
try
on a
escargot.
modern monastic community and explore the Burgundian countryside.
Oh, Lord.
France is the biggest country in Western Europe. We'll head southeast of Paris to explore the region of Burgundy.
Oh, it is bigger than Germany.
Using the town of Beaune as a home base to explore its canals, vineyards, and historic sites.
Burgundy, like much of France, is laced by canals dug in the early industrial age. 200 years ago, canals like these provided the cheapest way to transport cargo. With the help of locks, you could actually ship your goods clear across France, from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic. Today, trains and trucks do the heavy hauling, and canals are for relaxing, an art form in which the French excel.
Whether you're cruising in a big full-service luxury barge or a small captain-it-yourself boat, the basic experience is the same. A lazy glide by pastoral scenes.
That is so amazing.
You think so?
This time I'm joined by my friend and co-author of my France guidebook, my favorite Francophile, Steve Smith.
I love slowing down. Cruising is the best way to see Burgundy. It forces you to slow down.
And Steve's family is hitching a ride too, as we learn how the French, who invented our modern concept of a vacation.
Have you guys heard you could, like the saying, you could drive by a road 100 times and maybe not notice things that you would notice if you walked down it one time? I sort of just made that up or paraphrased it, but I think that's
hitching
true.
a ride too, as we learn how the French, who invented our modern concept of a vacation, are onto something good with barging.
Oh my.
The canal side lane, built as an industrial age towpath, is ideal for jogging, strolling, or biking. Boats come with bikes, and the pace is relaxing enough to allow for excursions. Your ride is punctuated by a lock every mile or so. By going from lock to lock, boats can gently climb step by step over the rolling terrain. Each lock is
I'm surprised by how they can seal. Like the most impressive thing about a lock is the fact that they can seal in the water from the upper level downwards, you know? Because I'm just wondering how they would completely... I mean, that's a lot of water trying to push downward, and yet they're able to do it. Amazing grass.
Each lock is a treat. Attendants who live in the historic lock houses are friendly and always ready to help out. Some locks are automated. Others involve a little old-fashioned elbow grease. Full-service barges can be hired with a captain and crew who do the navigating, cooking, and guiding. Boats have comfy staterooms. All the comforts you'd expect in a good hotel, and you'll invariably be eating and drinking some of the very best that Burgundy...
Cantaloupe is so good.
...in a good hotel, and you'll...
Might be my favorite fruit. Melon fruit. Watermelon is overrated. Cantaloupe is where it's at. Classic meat board. Scones or something?
You'll invariably be eating and drinking some of the very best that Burgundy has to offer.
Here's my wine glass.
Our day on the canal was an ideal family vacation. 3 generations, the scenery coming to us, a capable skipper, and not a care in the world.
Oh, I love the French flag. This is a beautiful picture right here, guys. Amazing. Especially this half.
The city of
Be a
Beaune makes a
postcard.
handy home base for exploring Burgundy. The townscape, lassoed within its medieval walls, is as French as you'll find anywhere. You'll feel comfortable right away in this prosperous and popular little wine capital, where life centers on the production and consumption of the prestigious local wines. The medieval monks and powerful dukes of Burgundy laid the groundwork that established this town's prosperity. The monks cultivated wine, and the dukes cultivated wealth. To enjoy any small French town at its vibrant best, it's worth visiting on its market day. In Beaune, that's Saturday, and the town's thriving. We're on a mission to buy the goodies for a lunch at Steve's country home a little later. And here in Burgundy, it's got to include a pile of snails. You buy
His name is Rick Steve. His name is Steve, and they look sort of alike, like they could be brothers. It's funny.
And here in Burgundy, it's got to include...
I would love to try it. I'd imagine it tastes... Anyone who has tried it, watching, I'd love to see how it tastes in the comment. But I'd imagine it's a sort of mollusk, shellfish taste. I'm not sure what the green pesto-looking paste covering the whole is. Love to try it, though. Never had it.
A pile of snails. You buy your snails at the charcuterie.
Bonjour, monsieur.
Bonjour, messieurs.
So, hey, we're in a
Bonjour, monsieur.
charcuterie now. This is the place you buy snails. 2 ways of doing snails. The easy way, you buy them like you see them in the window there. Already made, already stuffed, already ready to go. Or you do it yourself by buying a jar of snails and the shells separately, and you stuff them yourself.
50 unités. Voilà, s'il vous plaît.
30 euros, right?
Well, for packaging purposes, I didn't even ask my question. I just answered why separately, but I'm assuming because it's much harder to package the snails if their shell is on rather than their shell is off. You can put it into jars and then stuff it back into a shell. I'm sorry. I think I answered my own question.
Fork it over. Le voilà.
Merci beaucoup.
You're paying.
Merci, monsieur.
While Beaune's real charm is the colorful town itself, it does have one must-see site. It's Hospices de Beaune, a medieval charity hospital.
Hospices de Beaune.
6 centuries ago, Beaune was devastated by 2 terrible events, the Great Plague and the 100 Years' War, a drawn-out battle between France and England that embroiled all of Burgundy. In the early 1400s, 3/4 of Beaune's population was destitute. Amid all this squalor, the Duke's right-hand man, Nicolas Roland, grew filthy rich because he could tax the people. Concerned for the destiny of his own soul, Roland attempted to buy a ticket to heaven by building this palace for the poor. It was completed in just 8 years.
The colorful glazed tile roof established
I'm not a religious person myself, but if if not having that religious faith he had would have mean he would have just kept it and not made anything. And clearly that was a good influence.
It was completed in just 8 years.
The colorful glazed tile roof established what became a style recognized as typically Burgundian. The tiles, which last 300 years, are fired 3 times, once to harden, then to burn in the color, and finally for the glaze. This largest room was the ward for the poorest patients. Roland, who believed every patient deserved dignity, provided each with a pewter jug, mug, bowl, and plate. The hospice was not a place of hope. People came here to die. Care was more for the soul than the body.
Hospice.
The far end of the ward was a chapel. Patients could attend Mass while in bed. And also from their beds, they could ponder the powerful symbolism of a painting that stood upon the altar, now displayed in an adjacent room. In Roger van der Weyden's exquisite painting of the Last Judgment, Jesus presides over Judgment Day, flanked by the Lily of Mercy and the Sword of Judgment. The rainbow promises salvation, and the jeweled globe at Christ's feet symbolizes the universality of Christianity's message.
Oh, those are the nail holes.
Globe at Christ's feet symbolizes the universality of Christianity's message. As 4 angels blow their trumpets to wake the dead, Michael, the archangel, very much in control, determines which souls are heavy with sin. Mary and the apostles pray for the souls of the dead as they emerge from their graves. But notice how both Michael and Jesus are expressionless. At this point, the cries of the damned and their loved ones are useless. The intricate detail is typical of Flemish art in the 15th century.
I think religion is I'll say again, I'm not religious. I never have been. I went through my more, but I don't think religion is necessarily bad. What I do love about religion is that it does see it expresses human, and I can't express myself right now. I see religions as a sort of expression of our inner feelings. Like, I can't even say things right now. But it kind of does represent some of the more just part. Like, I see these as like version. Forget what I'm talking about. Never mind. Just forget everything I said. I can't talk. I was going to try and say something profound, and I failed. Never mind.
Study the faces of the damned. You can almost hear the screams and gnashing of teeth.
I really hope YouTube is not going to censor or is not going to strike down this video, because there was nudity there represented in art, which should be fine, and in a historical artistic sense. But I've shown another Rick Steves video with similar depictions, and it got struck down and I couldn't post it. And so hopefully that won't happen. If it does, then you'll see a cutout break in my reaction.
This smaller ward was for the wealthy patients. Since they were more likely to get the best available treatment, they were more likely to survive. Tools of the trade looked like a carpenter's kit. Amputation saws, pans for bloodletting, and syringes, delicate as caulking guns.
I thought maybe that was also a bedpan, right, for people who couldn't urinate or defecate without lying down.
For bloodletting, and syringes, delicate as caulking guns.
True.
The decor in this room portrays themes of hope. A series of Baroque paintings show the biblical miracles that Jesus performed. Patients filled these beds as late as 1982. Back Back out on the street, it seems life is good and the focus is on the here and now.
1982.
A common theme is the region's famous wine. Every other shop seems to be selling it. Even the town's historic Chamber of Commerce building is dedicated to the notion that developing a good nose is good for the economy. In this delightful sensory exhibit, the complex fragrances of a fine wine can be experienced. Raspberries, citron, the forest, spices. In Burgundy, a good nose is a life skill worth developing. Your visit to Burgundy can include about every aspect of the wine trade, even traditional barrel making. At this cooperage, a time-honored craft is kept alive.
Yeah, how do they seal it? Is it just by the pressure of the metal rings, or do they put some sort of sap glue in between each board?
Barrel making. At this cooperage, a time-honored craft is kept alive, crafting barrels with a mix of modern efficiency and traditional techniques. Workmen use steam and bands of iron to bend oak staves into a wine-tight cap.
So as metal cools, as it heats, it expands, but when it cools, it contracts, right? So maybe that also kind of seals in the barrel. Jeez.
Vintners know that the quality of the barrels and the characteristics of the wood contribute to the personality of their wine.
What kind of wood?
Burgundy is a big part of why France is famous for wine. The rolling hills of the Côte d'Or are blanketed by lovingly tended vineyards. To the connoisseur, a visit here is a kind of pilgrimage. By car or bike, you can be immersed in the lush countryside and immaculate vineyards. To those versed in this drinkable art form, road signs read like fine wine lists.
Wait, did I drive through this? Last time I went to Europe, me, my dad, and brother were driving around Europe, and our return home, or back to London, Heathrow Airport, we went from Switzerland into France and then diagonally northwest up to Paris again. And we passed through a lot of landscape that was similar to this. I don't remember the vineyards being as vibrantly green. Maybe it was a different growing season. But it looked a lot like this, and maybe we did pass through.
From Beaune, you're just 10 minutes from the heart of the vineyards on a rental bike. Except for the rare farm vehicle, the service roads are the domain of happy bikers. A bike route laces together scenic villages, each which produces its own distinctive wine. And signs make it clear where visitors are welcome to drop in, enjoy a little tasting, and pick up a bottle or two. In the village of Pommard, vineyards like Le Cave de Pommard offer free tasting and an education in wine appreciation at the same time. Our hostess, Colette, is ready to demystify Burgundy's wines.
When you say Burgundy, what do you mean from a wine point of view?
I just mean a gift of nature,
Why?
unique.
Why?
Why? Because we have this terroir, which is so exceptional, so complex.
What is terroir?
Wow, her English is really good.
Because we have this terroir, which is so exceptional, so complex.
What is terroir?
The terroir, this
Terroir.
is the earth, the character of the earth, a combination, a perfect combination of the geology, the earth character, the exposure to the sun, the altitude on the slope. And each piece of land in this area has got a different terroir.
So the quality of the wine can be different from here to 200 meters over there.
So different.
So the soil looks actually quite bad here.
It's so poor, but this is what the vine needs. It needs to suffer to produce grapes of character.
It looks bad to us, but to create the vines creating grapes is perfect. Interesting.
It needs to suffer to produce grapes of character. Going down, fighting to survive among the stones and the lime rock. And as they fight, they give a wonderful complexity of aromas to the grapes.
I wonder if because the vine senses a soil that isn't perfect for growing higher, that it has to create grapes now. And if the vine thinks that or wants to do that, and you keep giving it water, then...
How do you name the wine?
We name the wine never with the name of the plant, we name the wine with the name of the place. It's the same grape everywhere. It's all a paradise for Pinot Noir here,
Wait.
but lower down or here, it's completely different
Green and purple grapes grow in the same bushel of grapes?
because of the earth.
So you
Yeah.
don't name the wine by the grape
Never,
in Burgundy,
never
by the place.
by the place, yes.
Look how beautiful it is there.
So tasting is different from drinking.
Tasting and drinking are two very different things. You
Not to me.
drink with food, you taste the wine naked. You begin to look at it, you just raise it to the light and look at it and admire its beautiful color. Then you put your nose in the glass and you do the first nose and you tape.
I try to joke and act like I'd be on my fourth wine by now. But if I was in this environment here, I would obviously be respectful and taste it as they. I'd look forward to tasting it as they
You put
recommend.
your nose in the glass and you do the first nose and you tape here your impression, because then you aerate it, and with the air you just let the aromas get out in the glass, and then you go to the second nose. Is it the same?
The difference. Then you understand and appreciate the contrast.
And then you finally deserve to put that in your mouth after such a long time that you've been waiting. And when it's in your mouth, because you are tasting and not drinking, you will chew the wine. You chew it. You do like this. And you spit out, because your stomach does not taste. But what is important is that once you have spit it out, you exhale through the nose like that, because the zone which is here behind your back nose and your back throat is so sensitive to the aromas that you keep the finish of the wine. You keep the bouquet of the wine much longer.
I understand that it would be very rude to just like be like, yeah, whatever, and just drink it, because when it's done with such a science and love, and then you just see someone just swig it down, it'd be disrespectful, right? If someone's putting so much effort into it, just like with it creating a piece of food or some food, to go into the attitude of like this small little thing on that plate of like, well, that's it. I need more than that. Well, the point is to like someone put a lot of work into this and to try and taste what they were trying to create, you know. So I don't want to come across like I don't understand that.
Finish of the wine. You keep the bouquet of the wine much longer in your mouth and in your head.
So even if you choose to swallow rather than spit, you can still enjoy a good finish.
Just exactly the same. Wonderful.
I won't.
Yeah.
The culture of Burgundy has deep historic roots. Within an hour's drive are powerful sites illustrating how the region was, for centuries, the spiritual heart of France.
In the Middle Ages, Burgundy was the cradle of real monastic power in Europe. This town of Cluny was once home to a great monastery, which around the year 1100 actually vied with the Vatican to be the most important power center in all of Christendom.
Much of today's Old Town stands on the scant ruins of that monastery. Until the present St. Peter's Church was built in Rome, the church that stood here was the largest anywhere. The Abbey of Cluny was the ruling center of Europe's first great international chain of monasteries. It was the headquarters of 10,000 monks, the heart of a church reform movement and an evangelical revival that spread throughout Europe in the 11th and 12th centuries. In an era of particularly corrupt popes, Cluny's abbots, who followed the teaching of Saint Benedict, served as a moral compass and rallying point for Europe's Christians.
The success of the abbey has been attributed to a series of wise leaders, or abbots. In fact, 4 of the 6 first abbots here actually became saints. They answered not to kings and not to bishops, but directly to the Pope. They preached the principles of piety and the art of shrewd fundraising. Piety, they got people to stop looting the monasteries. Shrewd fundraising, they talked Europe's wealthy landowning elite into willing their estates to the monasteries in return for perpetual prayer for the benefit of their needy and frightened souls.
I'd imagine for a lot of rulers in France at the time, that'd be a little inconvenient and frustrating, knowing that the majority of the population that you rule over is very much religious, but also that because of that, there are people that don't have to answer directly to you, because if you hate on them, then your own population might hate you more and threaten your own power.
From the springboard of Cluny came
If I'm wrong, please, anyone let me know.
a vast network of nearly 1,000 monasteries
think I
that
am?
gave regions from Rome to Scotland a common thread, helping to kindle the establishment of modern Europe. While Cluny peaked in the 12th century, monasteries in general remained a powerful force until the 18th century.
Over time, Cluny's rich and powerful abbots were tainted by the same corruption they'd originally opposed. The once dominant Cluny order was eventually eclipsed by more austere monks, like the Cistercians of Fontenay.
The Abbey of Fontenay is beautifully preserved, giving visitors a sense for monastic life in medieval France. It was
Amazing grass.
beautifully preserved, giving visitors a sense for monastic life in medieval France. It was
Fontenay.
founded in 1118 by Saint Bernard of Clairvaux as a back-to-basics reaction to the excesses of richer Benedictine abbeys such as Cluny.
Jesus Christ.
The Cistercians worked to recreate the simplicity and the poverty of the church in the first
No,
centuries after
no
Christ.
pun intended.
Bernard created what he called a horrible, vast solitude here in the forest, where his monks could live like the desert fathers of the Old Testament. They strove to be separate from the world, and this required the industrious self-sufficiency that these abbeys were so adept at. The movement spread, essentially colonizing Europe religiously. By the year 1200, there were over 500 Cistercian monasteries and abbeys throughout Europe.
The Abbey church is pure Romanesque and built to St. Bernard's specs. Plain facade, Latin cross floor plan, no colorful stained glass,
Simplest.
unadorned columns, nothing to distract from prayer. The lone statue is the 13th century Virgin of Fontenay, a reminder that the church was dedicated to Mary. An ethereal light still bathes the interior. Stairs lead from the church to an oak-beamed dormitory where the monks slept, fully dressed on thin mats.
Monastic life was extremely simple. Prayer, reading, work, 7 religious services a day, 1 meal a day in the winter, 2 in the summer, daily rations, a loaf of bread, and a quarter liter of wine.
In spite of its isolation, Fontenay flourished as a prosperous economic engine for several centuries. According to a 14th century proverb, wherever the wind blows, to Fontenay the money flows.
The simplicity, in a way, makes it more beautiful in my eyes.
In the 13th century, the monks at Fontenay ran what many consider Europe's first metalworking plant. The art of metalworking was largely lost after Rome fell about 7 centuries earlier. Iron ore was melted down in ovens with the help of big bellows. The monks made and sold iron tools for a profit. A stream was diverted to power hydraulic or water-powered hammers that operated the forge. This technique was diverted to power hydraulic or water-powered hammers that for a profit. A stream was diverted.
Jesus Christ, I thought they said steam. I was going to say they had steam power back in...
To power
My
hydraulic
bad.
or water-powered hammers that operated the forge. This technique, first used here, became the basis of industrial manufacturing of iron throughout Europe. Like mustard seeds carried by a European wind, the monks of medieval Burgundy spread not only the gospel, but helped to germinate the industrial age, which led to the thriving continent we know today. Monks in Burgundy still draw crowds. To experience the latest in European monasticism, drop by the booming Christian community of Taizé. Taizé is an ecumenical community, welcoming Protestant, Orthodox, and Catholic Christians alike
Yeah, I was going to say those look like...
in monasticism. Drop by the
Oh, there are a bunch of different ways of saying welcome. Jesus.
booming Christian
I was like, wait, why? Okay.
Christian community of Taizé. Taizé is an ecumenical community, welcoming Protestant, Orthodox, and Catholic Christians alike. The uplifting ambiance of this place, with thousands of mostly young European pilgrims spending days exploring their faith and enjoying a break from the fast-paced material world, is remarkable. The Taizé community, which was founded in 1940, welcomes visitors who'd like to spend a few days getting close to God through meditation, singing, and simple living. Meals are in keeping with the joyful simplicity of the place. At any given time, there are several thousand here from about 100 countries enjoying a week-long retreat. When the bells ring, worshipers and white-robed brothers file into the long, plain, modern church. Taizé-style worship is a cycle of Bible readings, meditative silence, and mesmerizingly beautiful chants as worshipers enter together into the mystery of God's presence.
Guy wiping tears away. I'll say again, as I've said, yeah, I might not be religious. I never have been, and I might have been a bit anti-religious in many ways in like my late teens, early 20s. But I don't see it that way now. I see it as a pretty beautiful cultural representation of culture, you know, and it means a lot to people. So,
while monastic life in Burgundy celebrates simple austerity,
along with its extreme historical significance, which I love. So, sorry.
While monastic life in Burgundy celebrates simple austerity, Burgundian rural living celebrates simple pleasures. A great way to experience that is to rent a house in the country. Throughout France, self-catered houses, which rent by the week, are part of a popular lodging network called the Gîte Rural.
Love those doors and windows.
Steve's family owns a gîte.
Zidane.
They stay here for part of the year, and for the rest of the time it's rented as part of the gîte system, managed by a neighbor in the village. This is part of a national effort to keep village life vital in an age when young people are being drawn to the big cities. For about half the price of a typical hotel, a gîte comes fully furnished, with a kitchen, cozy living room, and all the comfort you could want to burst in the country charm of Burgundy,
or twice
whichever
the
part of France
beauty
you choose to settle into. Gîte living comes with a relaxed rhythm that's hard to find in a hotel. And part of the fun and saving of gîte living is going local in the kitchen. Steve's wife, Karen, knows just what to do with the escargot we picked up in the Beaune market. Simply fill the shell with a lovingly created butter, garlic, and parsley mix.
So, butter, garlic, parsley. So is that like a pesto? Is pesto parsley? So you put some of that in and then kind of sandwich the snail in between.
Tuck in the snail and top with more of the mix. Pop in the oven, and when ready, you make the family very, very happy.
I would love to try this.
So you put it on the bread, is that right? Like that. Very happy.
Perfect croquet lawn. I'm very good at croquet. Do challenge me.
So you put it on the
or
bread,
badminton.
Another dimension of Burgundy's unspoilt charm is its characteristic medieval chateaux that stand royally atop hills as if they still rule their feudal domains. Château de la Roche-Pot is a fine example.
Château. One of my favorite words to say. Château. Château.
Constructed near the end of the Middle Ages when castles were built to defend, it was completed during the Renaissance when castles functioned as luxury homes. As a result, with an enchanting mix of turrets and gardens, Roche-Pot is a little of both. rooms with their artifacts give a peek into life back then. The door frames, for instance, are a reminder that medieval architecture, like medieval life itself, was colorful and far from the stony gray we often imagine. The kitchen is equipped with newfangled gear that was state-of-the-art back in the 19th century.
What's state-of-the-art now?
Entertains, from its rampart views to the bottom of its well. 200 feet, way, way down.
I hope you've enjoyed our cruise through the highlights of Burgundy. I'm Rick Steves. Until next time, keep on traveling.
That was fantastic. I don't have much to say that I haven't already said in the video, so I'm just going to stop it here. I don't really have... Absolutely beautiful. Extremely green, which is great. And yeah, I'd appreciate any comments down below. Love y'all. Love to see all of your comments. Would appreciate any answers to any questions I had. Any comments at all. Hope everyone's doing well. I really do. And hopefully I'll see you guys next time, all right?